Hi, good morning. It's David Rizzo with Rogers Garden, and today we're March in the garden. I can't believe it's almost March, so we're right there. So today I'm going to go over what we're planning, what we're doing. I want to give a little shout out this weekend. We have Tomato Mania starting tomorrow, so March 1st. So tomorrow we're going to go through, we have about 250 varieties of tomatoes, and so that's one thing to come in, and all the varieties. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the varieties at the end. And we're going to hold all the questions at the end. So if you guys want to ask me anything, wait till the end and then we'll go over it. So that's the big thing. So let's start. So this time of year, as we go more into March, we're starting to transition out of the winter into spring. So this is a transition month. So this is when we start warming up a little bit more at night. We start more a little in the day, and the day lengths start getting longer as we go into daylight savings. So that's a big turnaround. So the storms aren't going to be as strong. Like, when we see the storms right now, they'll start out like strong on the radar, and then they'll just weaken because the lengthening days and the warmer nights, that will sort of break them up. So let's start. So right now with the vegetables, I'm going to go over the vegetables, the herbs, some of the perennials and the flowers, a little bit of the natives, fruit trees, feeding. I'm going to talk a lot about the summer blooming bulbs too. So that's some little itinerary. So let's get started with the vegetables. So right now, you want to start doing your lettuce. You can still do some lettuce all the way into April. So still do your lettuce. I brought some of the lettuce up, the starts that I like, the gourmet mix. This is a mixture of some of the romaines and some of the leaf lettuces. And I love the royal oak leaf. Like, see this red one right here? That's the royal oak leaf. Love that. So do your lettuces. It's getting later to do broccoli and cauliflower. I still will try to get in one more crop of cauliflower, but we're already into March. And if it warms up at the end of this month, it might bolt. So take your chances on some of your other winter vegetables. But anyway, going forward, you can still do spinach from seeds. There are some really good ones, Matador, Corvair, a bunch of them. So I still do that. Arugula, I'm going to do my arugula, like my rocket, or one of my favorites that I like, it's called Astro. So I like Astro. More lettuce. This is a really good head variety called Crispino. Love Crispino. And with seeds, I didn't bring a lot of seeds up, but now you can still start doing your tomatoes from seeds, your peppers from seeds, a lot of your spring stuff, wildflowers. Get your wildflowers in. It's running a little late, so if you want to do like some of the California natives, put your wildflowers in right now, like the cow poppies, the tidy tips, the 5 spots, the baby blue eyes. Get them in now. Don't wait. And moving on with other vegetables, we're going to start getting our beans in. So peas, it's getting late to plant right now because they are going to start producing, and they'll produce now into about April. It gets too hot as you go into April for them, and even late April. So peas are going to fruit for you, but it's getting later to plant them. So, but now beans. So spring, summer, beans, winter, peas. So that's one of the other things. And then even with other stuff, like I didn't bring a lot of peppers up, but I forgot to. But we got a really good shipment of peppers that I'll talk about later with the Tomato Mania tomatoes. And so I want to save that to the end, but I forgot to bring the peppers up. So put in a lot of your greens, anything that's fast right now. You could still do seeds of like some of your carrots and beets and radishes. They're quick at about 60. Well, like radishes about 35, 40 days, and carrots 60, 80. You still got a chance for them. So that's what you want to do, seeds. Any of your root crops too, don't do the plants, do the seeds. You get better quality if you direct sow them in your garden. Just make sure they get a lot of sun. So that's very important with rooting crops. And this holds true for garlic and for onions and for radishes and beets and carrots. If you don't get enough sun, you'll get a lot of top, but no root. So very important with all of those that you get them into a nice sunny 6 to 8 hours of direct sun, okay? And so moving on for that, herbs. So right now we're really going into a really good herb season. So it's still a little cooler at night. We're going to start warming up. But we start off sort of slow. So the herbs right now I'm looking at, I'm doing a lot of my perennial herbs. So I'm doing all my parsley, like my curly leaf parsley. I'm doing my flat leaf, my giant of Italy, my flat leaf parsley. Love using that. Cilantro, you can still do your cilantro. Cilantro loves it, right? It's cooler. You're doing the chamomile for drying the flowers for tea. Love the chamomile. And your bulbing fennel. A lot of people want to plant fennel more in the wintertime. It really is better to plant it in March because we warm up, takes off quicker, and it takes a little time. It can take about 90 days to really head up. So it takes about 3 months or so, almost 4. So your bulbing fennel, your salvias or your sage. Now the biggest difference with the sage with the cooking varieties, when they're making like brown butter and roasting, you want the narrow leaf officinalis. So this one is called garden gray. So garden gray is a really good one. But the narrow leaves have stronger flavor, and there's another one called Chef's Choice that's good. So look for your narrow leaf, gray leaf sages. We're getting in a lot of our mints. Mojito mint is a good one. It's an English mint that's a little stronger. Don't put mint in the ground or your raised beds. Only put them in pots. Don't put them in the ground. You'll never get rid of mint. But I love using mint in drinks and for just flavor. Tea, I use a lot in tea, especially spearmint. Spearmint is your regular mint. Peppermint has a little bit more of a menthol or a stronger flavor. One of my favorite oreganos, Mexican oregano. I love Mexican oregano. So what I do is I put this on pizzas, and the trick about harvesting, you pinch off a branch, you hold it, and you sort of peel, well, let's see if I can do it. You peel off that, and then that's what I use on my pizzas. I love fresh oregano. You can let it dry too on a paper plate, but I love the Mexican oregano. It has so much aroma and so much flavor. Going down the list, I like the rosemaries for cooking. I like Tuscan Blue, I like Spice Island, and I like barbecue. Those are the 3 really good, and you want the upright rosemary, because the trailing rosemary, like the Huntington carpet and all those, they're more ornamental. They don't have as much oil in the leaves, so that's why you want the uprights. And moving down the list, favorite time, English thyme. English thyme has, when you buy dry thyme, or if you want to dry it yourself, English is really good because English has that, it has that aromatic, so it's really good. So I love the English thyme. The French thyme is good too, but French is a little stronger and sometimes a little bit more bitter. So that's one thing, the difference between, because people always ask me, which thyme should I use? I go English. Want a little bitter, want a stronger flavor? French. And another one too that's going to be coming in is the dill. Now we're going to start warming up a little bit. Dill is a good one to plant right now, your dill weed. That's a good one. Now when I'm planting dill, it won't always say it on the labels, but look for fern leaf. And fern leaf, if you can see, has a little bit more bluish gray. This is the dill that has more flavor, because some of them that are darker green, they just don't have that aroma. So fern leaf, this one says it, so I don't know if you can see that. Fern leaf dill, that's a good one. That's the one that you want for cooking and for seasoning fish and all that. Fern leaf dill. And another one that we're going to start off, that we're just starting to get, I got them sort of stashed, the basil. We're going to start going into basil season. As we go more into March and more into April, the sweet basil comes in, and I love the sweet. Right now, if you are planting it, sort of protect it at night if we're cold. So, I mean, most of everybody, it's fine if it's in the 50s at night. If you're farther inland and you're still getting into the 40s, you might wait about another 2-3 weeks to plant it. So I like to have it more in the 50s at night, 50, 52, 50, around there, it's fine. But that's the one thing, if it's colder, sometimes it really will struggle. So that's one thing, if you are a little farther inland, sometimes I'll wait. And we're still early on some of the basils, like in the next couple weeks, I'll get the Thai basil, I'll get different varieties of Tulsi basil, and I'll get the large leaf. But if you're making marinara and you're making your own sauce, tomato sauce, you always want the sweet basil. And the way to always tell with the sweet basil, let's see if I can pinch one off. See how, let's see if I can hold this up. It cups more, so the leaf will cup. That's how you can tell some of the really good varieties of sweet basil. They're going to have that really sweet flavor to them. Now the other basils that are flatter, like some of the bigger leaf basils, will almost have like an anise or like a black licorice flavor. So always look for littler leaves, cupping. That's your sweet basil. That's the one I like to put on my pizzas and put for marinara, sweet basil. So I'll talk more about that. If you want, come in and see me and we'll talk about that too. So moving on, we're shifting into flowers now. So let's go. I don't want to knock this off the table. I'm pretty good about that. Right, Sonia? And so let me take this off the table. I want to switch things. So we're going to move the flowers over and we're going to put the tomatoes on the table. And we'll go down the line on those. So right now, it's always a funny year with time of year with flowers. So you can still do, let's see where I put them. With the annual stuff, you can still do violas, you can still do pansies, snapdragons, all those. Put them in because they'll last until April. But one thing that I always look forward to this time of year, we start getting our perennials in. So as we go into spring, I love perennials, and so that's why I pulled so many. And these are sort of my favorite perennials. So I break them into two types. Full sun or shade. So I'm going to talk about the full sun ones. So like this is Gara. It doesn't have a label on it, but they call it Gara. And Gara is really good. They bloom either pink or white. Great for butterflies. They get tall, 2 to 3 feet tall. Love this plant. So the Gara is great. The little Achillea or yarrows, great to plant right now. Full sun. Butterflies love them. Another one, even though we don't get them always in little pots, this is called a butterfly bush, Buddleia. These are going to get tall, about 3 to 4 feet tall. This is a dwarf though too. The butterflies love this, and this will bloom on and out, not as much in winter, but once you hit spring, they're going to go all the way to probably October. So I love the butterfly bush or the Buddleias. The salvias are just coming in. This is Mystic Spires. This is a blue salvia. The bumblebees really like this, so that's a good one. I didn't bring the other salvias up. We're just starting to get them, but in the next 2-3 weeks, we're going to get like all the hummingbird and the Wendy's Wish. Those are the ones that the hummingbirds love. So watch for those in a couple more weeks. I love the Kufias. The little Kufias, the little cigar plants. Like this one is called Honeybells. So this has more pink in it. The hummingbirds love this because it's little tubular flower, and the nectar will sit in the back of the flower. So I love the little Kufias, and this is another one called Cherry Bells. This is an orange one. Different varieties of Kufias, but man, I love the Kufias because the hummingbirds are so drawn to them. So that's, that's what we're getting in with those right now. We're seeing a lot of our daisies come in, and this is when you really know it's getting into spring. The Coreopsis are coming in. This is called Uptick Yellow and Red. It has the little yellow and red in the center. Great bloomer. Time to plant it now. All your Marguerite daisies, the different types of Marguerite daisies are coming in. So I'm getting all those. And then we're getting in like little heathers and little odds and ends. Some of the ground covers, like one of my favorite little ground covers. Now I'll talk more about the shade stuff. This is a really good one called Moneywort, Listomachia. It gets the gold leaves. This does good in containers and the shade. So this is called Goldilocks, and Goldilocks is a good little ground cover for shade. We're getting our fuchsias in. We're getting little ones. We don't have any bigger ones yet, but in the next few weeks I will get larger fuchsias. This is one of my favorite upright fuchsias. I don't know if you can see this. It has a couple labels in it. It's called Voodoo. So Voodoo is an upright, and the upright varieties, which is this is one type, they'll get like a pink with a deeper purple. So Voodoo is a great one to grow in. I tend to grow more in containers because in the ground they can rot out. So let's see if I picked another one. Yeah, mostly Voodoo, but we'll start getting the upright types and the trailing. So now watch for them in the next few weeks. Other shade plants, I love the little Abutilons, the flowering maples. These are really great. There's one to watch for that I'll get called Tiger Eyes. So Tiger Eyes is such a cool variety. So Abutilon, flowering maple, bigger bush, but great to put in a shade garden. We're getting our Coleus in. So Coleus are coming in. I didn't bring any of them up, but watch for New Guinea impatiens to come in closer to April. That's a good one. Cyclamens will start winding down a little bit, but the transition towards flowering, a really good flower are New Guinea Impatiens. So that's a good one. And what do you see? Oh. And so with other things too, another thing that I like to talk about that we don't really talk about that much. We get a good shipment of Annie's annuals in. So I brought in, and Annie's annuals is up north in Richmond, California, and she grows so many different really cool perennials. So I always get some really cool columbine, aqualuigias, and so I got those. What else did I bring up? Clarkias, like Farewell to Spring, or the Clarkias will start growing now and bloom later. This is a cool one, the Cupid's Dart, or Catenaceas. They're really cool. So one thing, let's see if you can see it. Let me wipe off the tag. The tag's sort of muddy. So watch for our Annie's annuals to come in. So great perennials, really different varieties of stuff, and she always has such a collage of just really different perennials. And so with that, what am I going to talk about next? Roses. Now is the time to plant roses. Roses, we're coming out of the bare root season. We're going into the spring season. So I pulled one of my roses up. That's my favorite, Yves Piaget. This is a French Romantica. So keep planting your roses. Now is the season. In the next few weeks, you're gonna, hi Lori, how you doing? Hi. And so now is the time to put your roses in. Another thing too, to not wait on is, if you guys want to plant any of your California natives, you got to do it now. You got to do it before we warm up. So I only brought a few of them up. Like, I like a lot of the ceanothus. You know, the ceanothus are really cool. They sometimes call them California lilac. The different varieties of more ceanothus. We have different varieties of manzanitas. One of my other favorite plants that you want to put in now and you don't want to wait are the giant, they call it the scrambled eggplant, or Ramia colchii, or Matilaha poppy. If you wait too long, it's going to get too hot for them. They don't produce their roots in summer. So if you want to plant them, you got to do it now, or you got to wait till next winter. So that's one. Shifting gears again, the bulbs. So let me talk about the bulbs really quick. I'm going to go through, let's move, I'm going to move this. And now we're getting all of our summer bulbs in. So let me bring some of these up for the table. So we're getting all of our dahlias in. So all of the big, this is the semi-cactus, dahlias are coming in. So now's the time, usually get 2 tubers per bag, put them in a sunny location, put them about 3 feet apart, and just put them in full sun and get them growing. This is such a good cut flower for summer. Even though they don't have much fragrance or any fragrance, they're so good. I consider them like our dahlias because they bloom so good. There's little border types, but my favorite, I love the dinner plate types. Now when the flower gets big, you'll have to stake it, but I love the dinner plates. We get so many different. Now the decoratives are going to stay smaller, more about 4 inches, 4 inches wide. The dinner plates can get 10, 12 inches, so they need a little bit more staking. The decoratives don't, but you get so many cool colors from the pinks, the whites, the oranges. Like, look at this dinner plate type. It has streaks of oranges and yellows, so great one. This time of year when you get the bulbs, you're going to have your best selection of color. Sometimes when the plants come in, we might only get like a handful of colors. But if you plant them now, you're going to have much more different colors, or a lot more colors to choose from. So that's really cool. Other bulbs that we're getting in, I'm going to pull up. We're getting our tuberous begonias in. So the tuberous begonias, they're always, like this is a picote, so it's a little mix. So the tuberous begonias are coming in. Another one, odorata, that's a good one. There's different types. Some are either upright tuberous begonias or some are pendulums or weepy. So when you're buying them, sort of look to see what on the pack. Even though this doesn't tell me what it is, I can tell because it's weeping more, where I can see this one's an upright, just because upright plant. This is more hanging over. So I know 2 different types to watch for when you're buying them. We're getting our Ajax lilies. This is called must-see, little orange and purple veining. That's a cool one for summer. We're getting in, for the shade, we're getting in the caladiums. This one is called Carolyn Wharton, and so that's a cool one for shade. We're getting in our gladiolas. The gladiolas right now are coming in. So this was a mixture called Mardi Gras. So a mixture of pinks and yellows and deeper purples. And the one thing that's great about gladiolas, you can use them as a cut flower, like all you can use as a cut flower, but glads get tall. So glads will sometimes get about 3 feet or so, 2 to 3 feet tall. So great to use for cutting, for cutting them. And another thing that I'll talk about is I love growing potatoes. So we got our potatoes in. Potatoes I usually grow in a container. I usually put about 4 inches of soil in a 15-gallon container. I put 6 potatoes in the bottom and I cover it up. As that stem grows to the surface, you'll get potatoes off it. And one of my favorites, German butterball. I love this variety. Huckleberries, the purple ones, are really good too, but I love them both. So come in and talk to me if you want to plant potatoes. I'm going to go through tomatoes. How much time? How are we looking on time? Are we okay? Okay, I'm going to go through fertilizing, and then I'll talk about tomatoes, and then maybe some insecticides. But right now, as we go into this month, fertilize. So I always tell people, feed, 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 because everything is waking up. Everything's coming out of its dormancy. So even to start it off, I'm going to let me move some of these. I always bring up so many things and then I make sort of a mess. So it's like, it's notorious for me. It's like, and so let me just pop up some of the fertilizers. I'm just going to put them on the table so I can go through them. And these are the fertilizers I use, and these are the fertilizers I recommend. I love the down-to-earth fertilizers. Love them because they are really good. They don't cheap out on a lot of byproducts. So the quality of the down-to-earth is really good. So I've got them all set. So we're going to talk about roses first. Roses, down-to-earth, 484. I can use this fertilizer though on anything that blooms. I can use this on any perennials, penstemons, salvias, anything. It's a 484. So look, I got 4% nitrogen, 8% phosphorus, and 4% potassium. Anything that flowers, I want that higher number to be 8 or 10. That's your phosphorus. That helps out the root, that helps out flowering, and so very important. One thing with fertilizer roses, you want to always add a little bit more Epsom salts when you first feed them because it's a good source of magnesium. So little now, little in midsummer. So that's good with the down-to-earth rose fertilizer. Citrus like lemons, limes, kumquats, mandarins, oranges, grapefruit, all of them citrus. And you can use this for avocados too. But the main thing we use this mainly for citrus is this has your NPK 633, but the one thing that people don't realize, it's a big difference when this and the regular fruit tree fertilizer is this actually has more trace minerals in it. So not just your NPK, but if I look on the back of the bag, I have my calcium at 3%, my sulfur at 2%, I have iron, I have zinc, I have magnesium, so it's more balanced. You do have some humic acids in it, but that's why I want it. I want it for the trace minerals. And when I fertilize, everybody's always asking me, how do you fertilize? How do you fertilize? I like to put this in like a little bucket. I'll take a handful, I'll wear gloves, take a handful, and I like to broadcast around the plant about a foot, foot and a half, and then I like to lightly work it in. I like my garden tools, my stainless steel. I love the hand rakes because I can use the back of the hand rake and I sort of scratch it in. Use the front, scratch it in, but I can level it. So, and then you want to do it before rain, or you want to water really good. That's how these organics really activate. They got to have water because they're a dry powder. So once you put them down, you water them in good so that starts an emulsion and then it soaks in and then the plants can take them up. So that's with the citrus. And then when the citrus are younger, I do feed them about every 2 months. When they're older, I might only feed them 3 to 4 times a year. So little plants, half a handful. Bigger plants, maybe 1 to 2, 3 handfuls. And so, but as the plants get bigger, you want to go a little bit farther out, like on the drip line, so those feeder roots can take up those nutrients. And so, next thing is with fruit trees. So I'm saying apples, peaches, plums, nectarines, all your stone fruits. I love the all-purpose. All-purpose is really good. It really should be like the fruit and vegetable because you have your 462, which is very balanced, but this has 10% calcium in it. Helps fruit development. Higher phosphorus, higher calcium, fruit development. So I can use this on anything that fruits. I can use it on tomatoes, peppers, squash, just eggplant, everything. So again, fruit trees, all your stone fruits and all your vegetables. I sometimes buy a 25-pound bag and feed everything. I like to keep it in the garage, out of where it's wet because these boxes are wet. They'll get wet with cardboard. So that's with those. Another one that I like to sort of get the soil started, try to get things going. This one is called Bio-Alive or Bio-Live. This one is good because it has a lot of beneficial fungus in it. So if I'm starting a new garden and I'm putting all my compost in there, I'm putting my worm castings, I do always like to use this because this, to get the mycorrhizae going in your garden, it helps break things down to make it more available to your plants. So that's important. 5 minutes? Okay, so that's important. So let's finish up the fertilizer really quick. The acid fertilizer, azaleas, camellias, strawberries, hydrangeas, all of them, your acid. So even the abutylons, anything that's acidic, acid, but definitely with the blueberries. Starter is a really good one. This is what I want to use for like boxwoods and trees, things that don't need high phosphorus, good fertilizer. So let's, we're almost running out of time, but let's go into my favorite subject, tomatoes. So I love tomatoes. So the tomatoes that I'm really looking forward this year, and I think I broke one. I broke him. But I'll just pick them off because you want to straighten them out. He got crunched by something. I probably dropped something on him. It's like, so some of the new varieties that I'm really excited to grow and to recommend for you. Accordion orange. This is going to be a good one. It's a big, large, pleated orange tomato. So I'm just going to go through and name them. I love the dwarfs. This is called Wild Fred. So I love Wild Fred. You got your Sunrise Bumblebee. This is a good little cherry tomato. So like that one. Got another one. Another one that I really like. It's called Black Cherry. Love that. All the cherries are really good. Like I like Sun Gold Cherry. I like Midnight Snack. I like Chocolate Cherry. And all the bumblebees are good. But let's see what we got. Oh, Harvard Square. So this is the tomato of the year. And this is a good one. It's sort of a green with a little blush in the middle. Very good flavor to it. So we're going to see those for Tomato Mania. And what we got? We got Tennessee Sweeted Dwarf. Another good little dwarf variety. Sort of a purple, red, purple, sort of blacky color. Salvatore Select. This is a good one. This is more of a sauce tomato. So these are going to be more for making sauce, for making marinara. Love those. Accordion orange. That's, I already talked about that one. That's just that big heirloom. And this is called New Big Dwarf, which is a big green slicer. That's a good one. Well, we got Mushroom Basket. Here's another one that I'm looking forward to growing. Big red tomatoes, pleated. Flavor is really good on them. Friend gave me some last year, but I didn't grow the plants. One of my friends grew them, and boy, the flavor on that. Pink Fang, another really unusual little. It looks like a little tiny Roma tomato, but it goes in narrow and it goes to a point. So that, and then some of the ones that I pulled. This is going to be a top one too. This is called Rebel Starfighter Prime. So this is actually a big ox heart variety. So it almost looks like a heart, but the flavor and the color on these is so great. So there's different varieties into that family of Starfighter, but this one is called Prime. So Rebel Starfighter Prime. This is a good one. This is going to be a new one that I'm growing this year. I couldn't really get the seeds, so I'm gonna grow it this year. We have Melanie's Ballet too, which is a good dwarf variety. I really do like the dwarfs too, and so you got to come in and see the dwarfs. And one thing to think about when you're growing tomatoes too, I didn't really talk much about it, but you want to prep your soil. If you're going in the ground, break up that clay with your compost. And so in containers, I'll use the Malibu potting soil. That's a good one. And then for in the ground, I'm using compost of the Malibu. I'm using worm castings. I'm loosening. I'm blending. What's really important with tomatoes and with anything that produces fruit, as a vegetable, you need full sun. I can't stress that the most. 6 to 8 hours of full sun. If you don't get it, they won't grow, they won't flower, and another thing they won't do, they won't ripen the fruit all the way. So sometimes people will bring in the tomatoes and say they have no flavor. And a lot of times it's either not fertilizing enough or not enough sun. Tomatoes need heat to ripen, to produce those sugars, so that's very important. So amend your soil, fertilize them. Oh gosh, in containers, I'll feed once a month. In the ground, I might feed every 2 months. So I feed when I plant, and then I feed after that. I do like to use, let's see where I put it. I like to use the compost tea. These are like giant tea bags, and so you steep them in water. The Malibu tea bags are good because they have Malibu compost in them, so it's like making a tea. So that's really good. Little bit about insecticides coming into spring. I love using the organic soap by Safer. Good for aphids. Another one that's good, it's a light oil spray called Takedown. That's good for aphids, scale, a lot of other insects. We're going to have a problem with snails and slugs this year, so Sluggo. Sluggo is one of the only baits for slugs that you can use in your vegetable and your edible garden. This is iron phosphate. This is not metaldehyde based. So that's one thing you really want to get away from on some of them, is if you're putting these around your citrus and your vegetable garden, it's fine because it's just, it's not a metaldehyde. So definitely, because when you look at it, iron phosphate, that breaks down into iron, plants take it up. So that's really it of all of the vegetables and everything. If you have any other questions, come in and see me. I'm here most of the time, so any question, but if anybody has questions now, it's question time. No questions?
No.
Okay. You like how I use my hands? It's just that. Okay, so thank you for joining me today. This is David Rizzo with Rogers Gardens, and don't forget us to follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. If you have any questions, you can comment on all the social medias, but always come in and see me too. I'm here most of the week, and I would love to talk to you guys, especially this weekend, starting tomorrow. I'm going to be down in Tomato Mania, so if you want to come out and pick out some really neat varieties of heirloom tomatoes and cherries and all of them, I'll be down here. And so, yeah, so thank you for joining me today. Happy gardening.